From the corner. I was the first to escape. What Leo said made my head turn into a mess. I got up too abruptly. I must have gotten up too abruptly today. Or maybe Leo has been possessed by someone else. Like me? How could he possibly like me? If we're talking about who in this world can't stand me the most, he, Leo, would be the first on the list. At school. Smoking, drinking, fighting, skipping classes. I'm good at all of them. I'm the incorrigible one in the eyes of parents and the hopeless one in the eyes of teachers. I've been living my life according to the principle of muddling through. Although my life is boring, I'm free and easy. But after I entered my senior year of high school and was in the same class as Leo, I've been feeling more and more uncomfortable with my muddled through life. Once, when I climbed over the school wall ready to show my at the internet cafe, I never expected that there was a person standing on the other side of the wall. I landed right on top of that person. When I saw clearly who that person was, I was so shocked that the grass blade in my mouth fell out. Leo, you skip classes too? It can be said that I am a model of muddling through. Then Leo is the benchmark for the majority of students. Even when I was not in the same class as him, I had heard his name so often that my ears were calloused. Such as winning another award, getting the first place in the whole grade, winning the championship. Those praises and glories were always associated with the name Leo. I thought that people like me would live in peace with people like him all my life. However, he just kept picking on me. Leo, you skip classes too? Go back. I held one arm with the other hand, moved my wrist, and still had a smiling face. So good students can also swear. After Leo heard what I said, his face obviously darkened. Go. Back. I gradually put away my smile, leaned against the tree trunk, and squinted slightly. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with this benchmark today. What can you do if I don't go back? Leo looked at me coldly. Finally, I insisted on leaving and he insisted on stopping me. As a result, the two of us got into a fight. Eventually, he ended up on the sofa in the dean's office and I ended up beside the sofa in the dean's office. He was sitting and I was standing. The Mediterranean-looking dean brewed a cup of hot tea. He blew on it and sipped it noisily. Andrew, usually I turn a blind eye to however crazy you are, but don't lead others astray. Leo frowned and said, Dean, it was me. The dean changed Leo's cup of water with hot water and interrupted him. Leo, now that you're in senior year of high school, it's of utmost importance. Do I need to transfer you to another class? You should have less contact with people like Andrew who are of questionable character. Leo suddenly stood up and said, Dean, don't jump to conclusions before knowing the whole truth. The dean's hand holding the thermos near his mouth paused. His face was definitely not looking good. He moved his lips a couple of times and finally his eyes behind the glasses looked at me. There, the city gate caught fire and I, like a fish in the moat, was affected. The dean started pointing at me and shouting in a high-pitched voice. You go and stand at the classroom door. I curled my lips, stretched my body, and happily left the dean's office. After all, whether I stand or not depends entirely on my mood. A light yet audible footsteps sounded behind me. I didn't pay any attention, but others couldn't help paying attention to me. Andrew, this isn't the way back to the class. Where are you going? At the corridor corner. I was sitting on the railing, ready to slide down, but a hand grabbed my school uniform from behind. I took a deep breath. Leo, to the internet cafe, you interrupted. I don't want to waste such a good time in this cold corridor. I tugged at my school uniform, but it didn't budge. Leo's voice came from behind. Come back to the class with me. The smile on my lips finally faded and my patience had worn thin. Do you not have enough questions to solve or classes to attend today that you come to provoke me? I grabbed his arm under the sleeve with one hand, turned sideways and pulled him forward, pressed down with the other hand and finally pressed my knee against the abdomen of the person lying below. I looked down at the person on the ground from above. As long as Leo moved a little, he would roll down from the first step of the stairs. As our eyes met, I said coldly, leave me alone. However, after that, Leo didn't stay away from me as I wished. He was even more annoying than before. Finally, he even applied to the teacher to sit at the same desk with me. At first, the teacher was extremely reluctant, but I don't know what method Leo used, and the teacher actually agreed. Since high school, it was the first time I bowed my head and begged the teacher, and I failed. In the office, the class teacher pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose. Don't provoke, Leo. He's not the same kind of person as you. I replied with a cheeky smile, sir, you'd better move that great Buddha, Leo, away. My small temple can't accommodate him. If I'm not careful and the temple catches fire, it might burn him. The class teacher's face changed several times. Andrew, how have you become like this? It's all thanks to you. After leaving the office, I was in an extremely bad mood, and yet Leo just had to come and provoke me at this time. Andrew. I pretended not to hear and strode forward. However, the person behind kept chasing after me relentlessly. Andrew, I suddenly turned around and grabbed his collar. Can you get out of here? After that incident, I asked for leave and stayed at home, claiming that I was so sick that I was about to go to the Western Paradise to see the Buddha. Of course, the teacher knew I was talking nonsense, but she couldn't wait to not see me and quickly approved my leave. I thought I could have a few quiet days. Who would have known that the plague god would descend? After the doorbell rang for the 5th time, I finally crawled out of the quilt. I opened the door and leaned against the door frame. Come on, I've even hidden at home and you still won't let me off. Leo pursed his lips and didn't say a word. Even his face was a bit red. I thought to myself, could it be that this kid ran all the way here? Otherwise, why is his face red? After a moment of silence, Leo spoke first. It's cold. Put on more clothes. I don't like to wear an upper body garment when I sleep. I curled my lips and smiled. Did you come all this way just to tell me to put on a piece of clothing? Leo frowned. Why don't you go to school? Are you my elder brother? As soon as I said this, Leo was stunned for a moment. Or am I related to you? Or are you my teacher? I held the doorknob. In what capacity are you controlling me? With a bang. It was I who slammed the door shut. However, what I didn't expect was that when I went out to take out the trash at night, Leo was still there. Moreover, he was wearing thin clothes, and his lips were faintly pale from the cold. Seeing me come out, he strode towards me. Why don't you go to school? I was speechless for quite a while. Has this role model gone stupid from studying too much? Why is he so stubborn? I tossed 2 words at him. Don't want to. Because of me? No. But I also hope you won't bother me. Andrew, you have to do your homework. I brought you my notes. I threw the trash in my hand into the trash can and interrupted him. Do you want to become trash too? Stay away from me. People who get close to me will become unlucky. People who stay away from me will live well. I originally thought that after that time we two would have no more interactions. But I underestimated the persistence of the role model. He tried to restrain me with the good student approach. Of course, I responded to him as a qualified hooligan. Later, the teachers in school got even more headaches when they mentioned me. All of them thought that I had led their most outstanding student astray. Once, Leo even skipped class with me, although I tricked him out that time. Leo's already cold face got even colder that time, and I was in a great mood. Leo, if you provoke me again, I can't guarantee what else I'll do. After we got back, the teacher didn't punish him, but he insisted on standing for a week on his own. I leaned against the chair and watched him, finding it quite interesting. There are actually people who look for trouble on purpose. Leo, how about we call a truce? Listen to the class. Have I ever offended you? Why do you keep picking on me? Before Leo could say a word, the teacher's chalk hit me on the head. Some students don't affect others if you don't want to study yourself. I found that Leo has a top student level persistence in everything he does. He even used this kind of persistence to discover my secret. I like men. At night, when I came out of the bar, I put my arm around a boy's shoulder and talked to him with my head down. Out of the corner of my eye, I seemed to see an acquaintance. I looked up and saw Leo standing not far away in a white shirt and blue jeans. It was in sharp contrast to my rascally appearance again. The eyes I met contained too many emotions, maybe shock, maybe confusion. Just 2 seconds later, I shifted my gaze. After sending the boy into a taxi, I walked towards the fork. Leo followed me, which was both expected and unexpected. I silently curled my lips. I walked towards a darker place. At a corner, I suddenly pulled him into an alley, bent my elbow against Leo's neck and pressed him against the wall. I didn't expect that top student Shin has a hobby of stalking. Leo averted his eyes. I'm not. Since you've seen it all, can you stay away from me from now on? It was the largest male bar in the city, a place where men with normal sexual orientation would never appear. Who is that person? Just like his cold and detached appearance, his voice was also frigid. I was slightly stunned for a moment. I didn't expect that compared to whether I liked men or women, he was more concerned about the person I had hugged. I squinted slightly, rarely showing interest. I slightly lowered my elbow, placing my hand on Leo's slender neck, and my lips lingered by his ear. Leo, caring about me like this will make me infatuated. I bent my knee and forcefully spread his legs apart. Or perhaps, do you want to seduce me? Make me. Beep. The honking of a car sounded not far away, drowning out the last word in my sentence. But I knew that even if Leo didn't hear it, he could understand from my lip reading. As I expected. Sure enough, Leo's handsome face darkened, and his expression became even colder. After all, no one should be able to tolerate being flirted with so vulgarly, especially someone like Leo who seemed so pure and spotless. For him, this was probably the first time in his life to be so humiliated. But I didn't mind being even more of a hooligan. As long as I could disgust him away, I turned my head to look at him. With my other hand, I groped under his shirt. As I imagined, the skin on his back was smooth and delicate. My fingers couldn't help but tremble. Clearly, he seemed so cold, but his body temperature was surprisingly hot, burning me all the time. Leo stared intently at me. His originally cold-looking brown eyes were now filled with a myriad of emotions. Annoyance, restraint, and it seemed there was also a hint of desire. To tell the truth, I have feelings for Leo since the first time I saw him. But suddenly that sentence popped into my head. Don't provoke Leo. He's not the same kind of person as you. Then, I let go of Leo and patted him on the shoulder. So, don't come and provoke me. The moment I turned around, I was forcefully yanked back. My back hit the wall and the pain came a bit late. Then someone grabbed my collar and pulled me forward. Angry? Indeed, I said something stupid. I casually put my hands down as a silent apology. However, the next second, a hand suddenly clasped my head, and our lips collided. Before I could react, the person on the other side had already taken advantage of the opportunity. The kiss, lacking in was fierce and domineering, like a plunder or event. A faint, bloody sweetness gradually filled my taste buds. My brain might have gone on standby for a moment due to the brief lack of oxygen. By the time I came to my senses, a school uniform had been placed on my head. Andrew, it was you who seduced me. When I yanked the school uniform off, only the night wind was caressing my slightly aching lips in the alley. Later, I can hardly even remember how I got home and how I ended up in bed. I stared at the ceiling in the room, pressing the back of my hand against my slightly swollen lips, my mind in a complete mess. I closed my eyes. All I could think about was Leo's face as cold as ice. I pulled out the pillow under my head, made a fist, and pounded it again and again until it was flattened, then lay down again. It was no use. It wasn't the pillow's problem. I got up again, cleaned the whole room, did 20 sets of push-ups, half an hour of plank support, 10 minutes of sit-ups, then lifted dumbbells and finally punched the sandbag for half an hour. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I took a shower. I lay in bed but still couldn't fall asleep. The next day, I surprisingly wasn't late. In fact, I was the first to arrive in the whole class. I propped my arms on the desk, held my head with my hand, stared at the classroom door, and twirled a slender ballpoint pen absent-mindedly. The pen was Leo's. During the morning self-study, students were gradually coming into the class. Until the class bell rang, the seat next to me was still empty. I kicked the chair in front irritably. The third guy, who was lying on the table catching up on sleep, first jumped in shock, then scowled and suddenly turned his head. Seeing it was me, he immediately changed his expression into a smile. What's up, boss? For each of the following classes, take good notes until I come back. Take notes? Are you starting to supervise my studies, boss? Do you think I care about you? I'm taking notes for Leo. Where are you going, boss? I was briefly stunned and then kicked the chair in front of me. Don't ask questions you shouldn't. Just as I was about to skip class, I was called to the office by the class teacher. She was the only one in the office. I stood in front of her desk, looking cold, while she didn't even look up. Do you like Leo? I was slightly stunned and then sneered. Are you blind? You're my son and my student. Lucy had a sickening smile on her face. I know you. Too much imagination will make you a mental patient. Lucy stopped talking but just smiled even wider. I turned around, opened the door, and walked out. Staying with her, even the air smelled spoiled. When I found Leo's home according to the address registered at school, I really wanted to leave. Because I felt I was really crazy. Whether the top student Shin goes to school or not has nothing to do with me. It can't be because of me, can it? However, just as I turned around and was about to leave, his front door suddenly opened and the corridor light flickered on in response. A middle-aged woman carrying a cloth bag was startled when she saw me. You are. I was just about to say I had gone to the wrong place so that I could slip away quickly. As a result, after the middle-aged woman saw the logo on my school uniform, she gave a gentle smile. You're Leo's classmate, right? Come in quickly. Before I could organize the words to refuse, I was dragged into the house by the woman without any room for argument, and she even got me a pair of new slippers. Find a place to sit first. The fruits are over there, the water is there, the snacks are there, and Leo lives in that room. While I was answering with my mouth, my eyes were following the woman's finger, looking around this small but very tidy cottage. Okay, thank you, Auntie. Well, okay. The lips? Well, they're quite soft. The words that came out of my mouth without thinking made me freeze instantly. What nonsense am I talking about? At this time, the aunt turned to look at me with a gentle and somewhat puzzled smile. What's quite soft? The sofa is quite soft. Oh, you child. This wooden sofa is as hard as the floor. I awkwardly followed with a smile. I'm sure my face was as red as a monkey's but now. Fortunately, the aunt didn't continue on this topic. Instead, she picked up the cloth bag again and said, I'm going out and will be back later. I nodded obediently. Okay. Take your time, Auntie. I stared intently at the tightly closed door of Leo's bedroom, afraid of the slightest sound. Calculating that the aunt should have already left the building, I tiptoed to the entrance hall and gently pulled open the shoe cabinet door to take out my shoes, for fear of making the slightest noise. Hurry up and leave. Pretend you've never been here. As a result, I placed my hand on the doorknob, pressed it down gently, and pushed it outwards. It didn't budge. Only then did I realize why there had been the sound of a key turning in the lock just now. A bad habit of adults. They like to lock the door. One room, a locked room. Two people who have kissed. I recalled the brief touch from yesterday. His waist was narrow, slender, and strong. His lips were thin and soft. Would it be harder than the sofa I'm sitting on now if I pressed against him? I'm crazy. I'm absolutely crazy. I glanced out of the window on the 6th floor. Although I'm decadent, I'm not suicidal yet. The plan to jump out of the window obviously won't work. I hung my head and frantically rubbed my head. A devil holding a fork appeared in my mind. What are you afraid of? He's not a flood or a wild beast. You just kissed, not did anything else. Another angel with wings appeared on the other side. Andrew, you came here just to make Leo take responsibility, right? Admit it, you just like this type of him. Shouldn't angels be opposed to demons? The little devil grinned and said, Kid, the times have changed. The little angel smiled gently and said, if you like him, just go for it. What a natural environment. If you can't seize the opportunity even when it's right in front of you, it only proves that you're no good. Am I no good? I sneered inwardly and stood up, then walked towards Leo's bedroom. When I opened the door inwards, I suddenly lost my footing and fell forward. I instinctively reached out my hand to support myself. But my hand touched the familiar narrow waist and my face hit it firmly. A deep and slightly hoarse voice sounded above my head. Andrew. I stiffened all over. I didn't understand what it meant when the textbook said the brain went blank before, but now I do. I couldn't think or speak. My hand was held down and my neck was grabbed by Leo. My chin was forced to lift up. The Leo now was completely different from the one in my impression. I always thought he was a pale and weak guy who only knew how to study and read books. As a result, his seemingly thin figure was actually very strong. Leo looked at me. What are you doing here? Why didn't you go to school? After I asked this question, I was slightly stunned. This sentence sounded a bit familiar. Leo exerted a little force with his hand to suppress me and leaned in. He was so close that I could even see my reflection in his brown pupils. I felt a faint breath in my ear. Excuse me. Who are you to me, a teacher? Leo snorted coldly, then stared at me and asked, Or are you my elder brother? The situation has reversed. I endured it patiently. As a classmate, of course I have to care about you. Leo, Leo's eyes darkened, and his face became 3 degrees colder than usual. If he was like an annoyed cat just woken up before, now he was like a lion irritated by a disobedient prey. Leo let go of me. The next second, I was suddenly pulled over by Leo and thrown onto the soft bed. In an instant, my nose was enveloped by that cold cedar-like scent. "What on earth are you doing, Leo?" Just as I was about to get up, Leo stepped onto the bed with his long legs and forcefully pressed me back. My hands were pinned above the pillow by him, and he was on top of me, looking down at me from above. His thin lips parted slightly. "Classmate? Can't you tell that I don't just want to be your classmate?" It was as if something exploded in my head with a buzz. I didn't react until Leo hooked my clothes with his other hand. I suddenly grabbed Leo's hand, but I couldn't pull it away. I really regret being impulsive last night. Due to long-term exercise and staying up all night, I simply don't have the strength to break free from this guy now. "Are you drunk, Leo?" Leo didn't answer. He was obviously a doer. A shiver ran through my body. "What are you biting?" My body, which had never had such an intimate contact with anyone before, started to heat up under Leo's teasing. At the same time, my long-dead sense of shame suddenly came back to life. Seeing that I couldn't compete with him in strength, I prayed to arouse Leo's conscience with words. "Top-notch student, academic master Shin. Just think about whether what you're doing now is worthy of all your titles." Leo took off his white cotton t-shirt with one hand. He had a well-built and fit body, fair skin, and the V-line of his waist disappeared into his long pants. "Andrew, as long as you say no, I'll let you go." Leo had a slight blush at the corners of his eyes and looked serious. Foul play. He was good-looking, had a great body, and had an abstinent aura. I was used to seeing him study seriously. This contrast was even more alluring. "Just talk. Why the hell are you taking off your clothes?" I turned my head slightly and whispered a swear word. Leo curled the corner of his mouth slightly and replied to me, "Okay." Then he grabbed my ankle in his hand. Wait, I will." However, Leo couldn't wait for a moment. He wouldn't even listen to half a sentence and just got straight to it. I glanced down and gasped. "Leo, this will kill me. I'm not joking." When I woke up again, it was already dark outside the window, and there were occasional cars passing by. My back hurt, my legs hurt, and my butt hurt. There was no sticky feeling on my body. Instead, I felt fresh and clean, and the clothes I was wearing seemed to be Leo's. Awake, Leo opened the door and came in. He didn't dare to look me in the eye and just blindly handed me a glass of water. Just now he was asking me if I was in pain and calling me baby. Now he's acting all shy? "You're quite good at it, Leo. Where did you learn it?" Leo has fair skin, so it's more obvious when he blushes. "Come out and have a meal. My mom has cooked." I almost crawled out of bed and forced my battered body to the dining table. Leo's mom took off her apron and rubbed her hands. "Are you awake? Sit down quickly and see if it suits your taste." Sure. I was smiling on my face, but looking at the hard chair as if facing a great enemy. At this time, Leo brought a cushion and put it on the chair where I was standing. I breathed a sigh of relief. A lamp, steaming dishes, the woman's hearty laughter, and the bowls piled up like a mountain. My son has never had any kids to play with him since he was a kid because of his stinky face. Auntie even happily opened a can of beer for herself. Leo placed his hand on hers. "Mom." Auntie pouted. "Mom is happy. You've always been excellent in every aspect of your studies since you were a kid, but you never made any friends, let alone brought anyone home. You," then Auntie turned to me, "are the first one." I caught a glimpse of Leo's slightly red ears out of the corner of my eye and held back my laughter. I specifically went to the supermarket for half a day today and bought more dishes. "How did it taste?" I quickly gave a thumbs up. "They're excellent. You have such a sweet mouth. Why don't you be my godson?" "Sure, godmother." Leo tugged at the corner of my clothes under the table and whispered, "My mom can't hold her liquor well. She's drunk." "I'm not." I heard that. After Auntie finished a can of drink, she was clearly holding the chopsticks the wrong way. Finally, Leo and I helped Auntie into her bedroom. After coming out, I put on my school uniform and prepared to go home. "I'll see you off." At the door, I pushed Leo back. "Can a grown man go home by himself?" As expected, Leo got stubborn again. He pressed his hand against the door and refused to budge an inch. With his other hand, he grabbed my wrist and wouldn't let go at all. I sighed, closed my eyes, steeled myself, and suddenly lowered my head to kiss Leo. Leo was only stunned for a moment and then clasped my waist to deepen the kiss. It was the unique domineering of a boy without a trace of gentleness. After the kiss, Leo wiped the corner of my mouth with his thumb. "Who is that boy?" "At the bar entrance. He's my buddy. He took me there to show off." "No way." "What? You are mine." "He's still a big jealous guy." I smiled softly and it was my turn to ask, "Are you going to school tomorrow?" "Yes." "It's settled." "Yes, see you tomorrow," Leo said. I nodded, "See you tomorrow." When I got home and inserted the key into the keyhole, I knew right away. The door had been opened. I fiddled with the key and opened the door indifferently. The lights in the house were on. There was a somewhat haggard back sitting on the leather sofa in the living room. Leaning against the cabinet at the entrance, I sneered, "What wind has blown you here?" Lucy, who was standing beside the old man, walked towards me. Different from her simple and proper look at school, she exuded an air of extravagance all over. She was no longer wearing that pair of glasses without prescription on her nose. "Andrew, I'll give you a chance." "Teacher, I just skip classes when I'm free." "Isn't this what you've been hoping for? There's no need to come to my home to educate me, right?" Lucy threw a pile of photos at me. I only glanced at them and my expression changed. There were clearly pictures of me and Leo hugging and kissing in the corridor. The shooting angle was tricky. "You had someone follow me?" Lucy sneered. "I knew it. You're also abnormal, just like your dad." "Lucy, over the years, your ability to be disgusting has only increased." Seeing Lucy's face getting darker and darker, I still smiled and said, "Back then you drugged someone and climbed into their bed. Now you hire someone to follow me." "Lucy, the path you're taking is getting more and more illegal, the illegal of criminal law." Then I was slapped. The woman's sharp nails scratched my skin. "As your teacher, I'm teaching you a lesson for being disrespectful. As your mother, I'm teaching you, this bastard son, a lesson." "Thank you. I thought you were going to teach me how to climb into a man's bed and how to be a mistress." Back then, Lucy used all sorts of means to get my dad and become the wife of the Sief family. "Your dad likes men." I was saving him. I didn't want him to make the same mistake again. Similarly, I also want to make you turn back from the brink. You don't mention at all that my dad was depressed for several years. Lucy raised her hand again, but I grabbed it. "Even if my dad liked women, he wouldn't like someone like you who only uses dirty tricks, is full of scheming, and has a perverted control, freak personality. Without me, there wouldn't be you. Don't morally blackmail me. You only gave birth to me but didn't raise me. That's enough." The person on the sofa finally spoke with a loud and powerful voice. "Andrew, in your life, you can only marry a woman. If you don't want anything to happen to that, Leo. After the person left, I smashed all the things in the room that could be smashed. Finally, I lay in the mess. People are indeed greedy. At first, I promised myself that just watching from afar would be enough, without disturbing or interacting. But in the end, I was defeated by Leo's gaze. I know that the old master always means what he says. Lucy's success is largely due to the old master's tacit approval. Dad hates Lucy and doesn't like me either. When I was 4 years old and innocent, Father stroked my head and said, "You're not wrong. It's just that Dad can't face you. In the next life, Dad will love you well." In the afternoon, the news of my father's died came. At the age of 4, I couldn't take in such a huge amount of information at all. I only knew to move a chair, stack it up, and look through the glass at the person lying inside, surrounded by all kinds of machines I had never seen before. Lucy said at that time, "Don't be like your dad in the future." My father couldn't be saved in the end and passed away. The phone screen lit up. It was extremely glaring in the darkness, pulling me out of my memories. It was a message from Lucy. I only glanced at it and then threw the phone out forcefully. But those words simply wouldn't fade from my mind. "Do you know why your father committed suicide? Killed the person he loved the most." I advised him back then to stay by my side properly, but he didn't listen. Only after that man died did he regret it deeply. "However, your grandfather has also learned a lesson from the grief of losing his son last time. Good son, don't think about dying. Are you willing to let Leo die? Only if you live can he live. Only if you leave him can he live a good life." Early the next morning, I wore jeans and a white t-shirt, dragged a sky blue suitcase, and wore a pair of black, framed glasses and arrived at the airport. I looked at the sky through the glass. I didn't withdraw my gaze until the announcement in the airport hall informed that my flight was boarding. I rubbed the back of my neck and my hand subconsciously slid to my collarbone. Well, this place was kissed by Leo. I boarded the plane. The sky, which was clear just now, began to drizzle. Before the plane took off, I made a phone call. The other side answered the call quickly. Leaning on the seat, I said, "Tell the old man not to forget what he promised me." Lucy chuckled naturally. "I'm quite crazy, and you know it. Go to school, get a job, get married, and have children. As long as you're obedient, we'll act as if nothing happened and nothing will happen either." I was about to hang up the phone. Then I heard a voice on the other end of the phone that I was all too familiar with. "Report." My hand suddenly stopped. Then there was the sound of the phone gently hitting an object. Lucy didn't hang up the phone. She should have put the phone face down on the table. "Come in." "Teacher, my deskmate didn't come today." That voice came closer and rang in my ear, but it seemed so unreal through the current. "Isn't it normal for him not to come?" There was a brief silence. I seemed to be able to imagine what expression Leo had now. "But he promised to meet me today." I took a deep breath. My heart seemed to be clenched together, making it difficult for me to breathe. The flight attendant beside me seemed to notice something wrong with me. "Sir, are you okay? Something happened to classmate Andrew's family. It seems he's going to transfer to a school abroad. His flight is this morning. Sir, the plane is about to take off. Please turn off your phone or switch it to flight mode. I've seen that you two have a fairly good relationship usually. Didn't Andrew tell you?" There was another brief silence before the clear voice rang out again. "He and I are just classmates. Sir, the plane is about to take off." I turned off my phone directly. "Thank you, sir." The flight attendant secretly let out a sigh of relief and walked towards the back row. I closed my eyes tiredly. Just classmates? But I don't want to just be classmates with him. At an altitude of tens of thousands of miles. I silently repeated in my heart again and again. "Wait for me, Leo, please. Wait for me until I have enough ability to run towards you. By then, all mountains and seas can be flattened." 6 years later, the moment I stepped off the plane and set foot on the motherland's land, only then did I feel that I was truly alive. For 6 years, I was like a walking corpse, only supported by a simple thought to move forward. The assistant from the Sief family came to pick me up on time. He drove the car and I sat in the back. "Mr. John has arranged a dinner for you at 8 o'clock tonight. I hope you can arrive on time." "Okay. I'll wait for you until 8 o'clock. "Okay." Put nicely, it's waiting. Put bluntly, it's surveillance. Whether at home or abroad, this sense of being monitored always surrounds me, also warning me to endure and wait. Strike at the snake's vital point. At the dinner, Lucy approached me. The thick powder on her face couldn't hide the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes. "You're smarter than your father." Seeing that I didn't say a word, Lucy wasn't angry but just talked on her own. "Your father back then was full of thoughts about how to elope with his lover and ended up in such a situation. But you chose to let go and be obedient. I didn't expect that you could still keep yourself pure in 6 years. Is Leo really that good to you?" The hand holding the wine glass tightened involuntarily, but my face remained calm. "Worrying makes one age quickly. You should take good care of yourself and worry less about unnecessary things." Lucy cared most about her own appearance. Sure enough, there was a crack in her expression, but then she showed a smile that I found extremely repulsive. "Andrew, see the girl over there? She's the fiancée that the old man has arranged for you." After saying this, Lucy turned around and walked away proudly in her high-heeled shoes. I took a sip of the wine. The aroma of the wine spread in my mouth. It's a good wine. However, what fascinates me most is not this, but that person. Well, if we meet, how should I apologize to that person? Let's welcome the protagonist of our dinner. I was pushed and walked to the center of the banquet. Another girl was also pushed over. The old man was sitting upright in the main seat. "This is the eldest daughter of the Chin family. You've had an engagement since childhood. You should know that I don't like women." I interrupted the old man's speech. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the girl standing next to me give me a thumbs up. The Lucy sitting beside suddenly stood up and shouted sternly, "Andrew, are you crazy?" I curled my lips. "I'm originally a Madan. Do you want the shares of Moshang, or the descendants you may never even see?" The old man, who was almost 80, instantly understood the meaning of my second half of the sentence and got up in a rage. "Andrew, take care of your health. Anger is harmful to your body." At this time, Lucy stepped forward, putting on an air of an elder. "Andrew, pay attention to the occasion. I don't care if you're crazy, but..." The second half of the sentence, Lucy whispered to warn me, you should also think about that person. She's still threatening me. Does she really think I've been idle for the past 6 years? I ignored her and continued to look at the person sitting in the main seat. The old man coughed a few times and the secretary beside him immediately walked over to help him catch his breath. The old man also looked at me, his eyes full of inquisitive greed. Andrew, what do you mean by the shares of Mosang? I understood that the old man's heart had already tilted. In his life, he could never resist beautiful women, money, and power. His desires were never satisfied and his own interests always came first. I said calmly, I'm the largest shareholder of Mosang. As long as you agree to my conditions, you can naturally get a share of Mosang. Mosang Company is like a dark horse. Shortly after its listing in the domestic market, it has been expanding rapidly with strong development momentum, its economy soaring. It has quickly expanded its market with outstanding technology and level, and its development prospects are very promising. At a business association, Mosang became famous overnight. Top 100 companies competed to cooperate. It's worth all the efforts I've put in day and night. Mosang is like a piece of meat, and only after the jackals and tigers fight to the end can they get a bite. In the process of the fight, one may bleed at least, or even lose one's life and end up with nothing. Now that there is a shortcut right in front of the old man, how could he not be tempted? If I want freedom, I must have the ability to obtain it. Only when I am strong enough can I have the capital. You? A shareholder of Mosang. Lucy, of course, didn't believe it. She sent so many people to monitor me. But she is short-sighted and picky. Her attention was all on whether I had contacted anyone or started a new relationship. Well, words alone are not enough. I clapped my hands, and the secretary who was soothing the old man's chi just a second ago immediately stopped what he was doing, went to get something, and then walked to my side. I saw shock in the eyes of both the old man and Lucy. The secretary unfolded the documents one by one. The old man trembled his fingers, pointed at the secretary, and it took him a long time to utter a single "you." The secretary is the younger sister of my father's lover. After all, the old man was blinded by beauty and didn't even investigate this carefully. That's how I took advantage of this loophole. My condition is to let me break away from the Xie family. I have a gift for you. I'll give you back a grandson. My words were like a powerful bomb. It exploded among the crowd. The old master even walked down shakily from the high platform and said, "What did you say?" And Lucy beside me finally lost that disgusting look of having everything under control as usual. Instead, her face was full of fear. I looked at Lucy. When the family nanny was forced to leave by her, she was pregnant. There's no need to elaborate. Lucy's already powdered face became even paler at this time. Dad, please listen to my explanation. The next second, Lucy was slapped. I can figure out Lucy's thoughts. Moreover, the old fox who has lived for almost 80 years can do so too. It's nothing more than about the family fortune. She was afraid that the old master would marry the nanny on an impulse. But no matter how well Lucy calculated, she didn't calculate that the nanny would get pregnant. What followed was a dog-eat-dog drama. Everything was planned by me. If I directly proposed to leave the Xie family, the old master naturally wouldn't agree. Even if there was a grandson, he was still not someone who could be put on the table. He wanted to continue the family line not for the development of the family but to make the people in the family in awe and prevent them from devouring the family when he got old. He wanted to control me through Lucy's hands. He wanted me to live according to his ideas. But Lucy obviously messed things up. Naturally, the old man no longer needed her. His anger was just an excuse for himself to replace her. My eyes inadvertently fell on a mother-son pair standing in the crowd. Their faces were full of uncontrollable ecstasy. I lowered my head and covered my mouth. They thought they had become real nobles and the real heir from today on. In fact, only hell awaited them. I returned to the new home. When I was sitting on the sofa thinking about how to meet Leo, someone knocked on the door. It should be the takeaway. I sent a message to the writer saying leave it outside. But the door kept being knocked. I got up and went to open the door. As a result, the next second I was grabbed by the neck and pushed into the house. I lost my balance and fell on the carpet. A hand protected my head. Didn't you say we'd meet tomorrow? When I saw that face, my mind went blank. I couldn't believe that the person I had been missing day and night had actually appeared in front of me. The real touch told me that this was not a dream but reality. This was Leo. If I say I miss you, the longing could fill the sea. But when I see you, I'm so clumsy that I can't even utter a single word. Liar, you should be punished. Leo's face has long shed its immaturity, but what remains unchanged is the obsession for me in his light brown eyes. The kiss was more about venting than affection. Our lips and teeth clashed, and a coppery sweetness filled my mouth. In the end, Leo couldn't bring himself to be cruel and softened his force. His lips moved to my ear, and his voice was hoarse. I should have taken you that day. I turned my head away, utterly shocked. 6 years ago, I wouldn't have believed these words would come out of Leo's mouth even if you beat me to death. Leo averted his eyes, his expression dark and unclear. I've been looking for you, Andrew. How despicable must I be for you to avoid me like this? My mouth is for speaking as well as eating, but Leo just took off his shirt and stuffed it into my mouth, not giving me a chance to explain. Leo took off his belt and tied my hands together, looking down at me. The shock in my eyes only intensified. Where on earth did this guy learn this? Leo started to undress me. Andrew, you're the one who provoked me. You'll be mine for the rest of your life. Even if you hate me, loathe me, I'll tie you to my side so that you can never escape. Leo clearly knew my sensitive spots, and all I could do was let out a helpless mm. At least let me say a word. If you force yourself on me, I'll definitely die. I really will. This place will turn into a haunted house the next day. But why do I feel a bit excited about it? You guys. At this moment, a male voice sounded outside the door. Leo stopped the action of taking off his clothes and looked towards the door. I also looked up. No wonder I felt so cold. Turned out that Leo didn't close the door. I also found the boy at the door a bit familiar. You guys just keep going. Pretend I've never been here. That won't do. I quickly let out louder whimpers. Leo picked up the coat scattered on the carpet beside him and covered me with it. Then stood up. His figure was impeccable. How did this kid grow so tall? Who are you to Andrew? Leo had his back to me. I couldn't see his expression, but judging from his voice, he was about 90% annoyed. The boy standing at the door actually had red eyes and then started crying. His voice started to choke with sobs. I am his fiancé. What a lie. Leo turned his head and looked down at me. How should I put it? His look was like that of an abandoned puppy. I directly stood up from the ground, quickly untied the belt on my hands, and then took off the shirt that was balled up in my mouth and threw it on the ground. Kid, you'd better explain yourself clearly today. I've been acting for so long just to enjoy a bit of forced love. Leo is so proper. If I mentioned it to him, he definitely wouldn't accompany me. But a small misunderstanding is a spice, while a big one can ruin a relationship. Fortunately, the boy at the door came to his senses and waved his hands repeatedly. I pretended to be his fiancé at the banquet. It's just that your grandfather and my grandfather insisted on arranging a marriage alliance. Then my elder sister already had someone she liked, so she dressed me up as a girl and sent me to the banquet. No wonder I thought he looked familiar. The boy wiped away his tears and continued. Then, not long after you left, the nanny's son came to flirt with me. As a result, a large group of policemen broke into the manor. The nanny's son was so scared that he collapsed and kept saying that he just touched me a few times and didn't do anything else. In the end, your grandfather and that Lucy were both taken away. The nanny and her son argued for a long time and were also taken away on the charges of causing trouble and obstructing the police from performing their duties. I think you're so amazing. How did you do it? I also want to become stronger. I want to protect my sister. I clicked my tongue silently in my heart. This kid really has no sense of propriety, but if he were a bit smarter, he could tell that I was busy. At this time, suddenly a person came to my mind. Here, call him. He can teach you. I gave the boy a phone number. The boy thanked me repeatedly and even closed the door for me. Then, I tied the belt around my hand again and lay back on the ground. Continue. Don't show me mercy. Leo didn't move. Come on. It's okay to gag me, but don't you think biting the clothes is a waste? You can do something else. Leo's eyes darkened. He pulled me up and hugged me into his arms. What happened in these 6 years? Tell me. As expected of the top student Shin, he could quickly sort out the information from the little episode just now. I'll tell you about those things slowly later. Let me tell you something happy. I've opened a company called Mozang. I leaned close to Leo and whispered, Leo on top, me below. A month passed. I went to the prison to visit the old man. It's quite nice to spend one's twilight years here. There's food and drink and someone to take care of you. The old man raged on the other side of the glass. You're crazy, Andrew. What's the benefit of doing this for you? What if you get the shares and then go back on your word? Then you could have just sent me to prison directly. Why go through all this trouble? I idly fiddled with the watch Leo gave me. Because I only have evidence of your crimes, not Lucy's. Only when you turn against each other, when you abandon Lucy and Lucy is disappointed in you, then dash. I snapped my fingers. You'll betray each other. The old man was first shocked, then burst into laughter. Smart. You're truly of our CF family. I frowned slightly, then suddenly thought of something and curved my lips. How are you so sure I'm from the CF family? The old man's expression froze at that moment. Then he coughed violently, bent over, and his lips moved as if he wanted to say something but couldn't. I stood up satisfactorily. Outside the prison, Leo reached out his hand to me. I don't know if I'm from the CF family, but now I'm from the Shin family, exclusively belonging to Leo. In the beachfront ocean view house, I'm having a confrontation with Leo. The phone beside kept ringing as if it would ring until next year if I didn't answer it. Unable to bear it any longer, I answered the phone without even looking. I thought it was work-related. As a result, there came a roar from the other end of the phone. Andrew, can you stop giving out my phone number to others randomly in the future? There came a discontented grunt from the person above me. You get along well with him. The little one cries a lot. He's the type you like. Andrew, what are you doing? I'm busy. I hung up the phone. People without a sense of propriety should be with those of the same kind. The irritable one and the crybaby. They are a perfect match. At this time, Leo held my hand. You're not concentrating. You deserve a punishment. No, bro. If we do this again, I'll really die. The waves were churning outside. The sun was shining brightly.